Okay, this is a detail stripped HK45 Compact, and got all the parts laid out here now, and I got them laid out left to right and the order that you need to install them. And just make sure that you clean these really well and lubricate them so that they'll work better than whenever you took them out. So to start off with, you put in the detent spring and the detent. This is the trigger bar detent. This drops back in there. I can just barely reach with my fingers. If you have big fingers or whatever, you might need to use tweezers for, but I can just barely do it. And then you drop in the trigger bar, and you just pull the trigger just a little bit, like you did before. Put that back in, and it swings down where it sits on top of the trigger bar detent. And now put in the hammer. And the hammer axle goes in with the notch to the bottom. And when you put this in, it's going to stop right here because you have to press down the trigger bar. So press this down, and it'll go in, and then just line it up with the hammer, and it'll snap in. And turn it around, and now we'll put in the plate spring. And this drops in. It drops in just like this, facing this way. And we'll put in the thumb safety. Now the spring is in the way, so you have to get something like an Allen key or whatever and press down. Right here, press down alongside the ejector, so that will go in all the way. And whenever you put that in, just sort of hold the hammer axle, because sometimes it will push the hammer axle out. And just make sure that's lined up right. And it'll sort of just want to stay right there, so just leave it there. And now, you've got to put in the hammer strut. And this goes in the hole at the bottom here. It just goes in like this. And you're just sort of like hooking it in whenever you put it in. And you'll know when you got it in, because whenever you press up on it and you pull the trigger, it's going to want to press down. So that's how you know that you got it right. Okay, and so a way that I found that helps hold that in, because it will fall out before you get it reassembled, you put this little thing back in, and that'll hold it, and just use the back strap pin, and that'll hold that for now. Okay, now we'll start working on the internal parts, and we'll start off with a sear, and put that in just basically with the hole at the top and the flat side on the left, and that just goes in the far left on the inside here. And just make sure you're putting that in between the flat spring and the hammer, and that'll just kind of snap down. And then put in the disconnector, and this goes on the very far right side, and you might just need to sort of like work this a little, and it'll just fit in. And whenever you press down on the disconnector, you'll feel the detent spring, so that's how you know that you got that right. Now we'll put in the catch and the sear actuator latch. And this is how the sear actuator latch goes in. And this bottom hole is there so the catch can fit into it. There's a little notch that sticks out on the catch, and that goes into the bottom hole. So the flat part of the catch is on the left, and that's together. Now just grab a hold of that with your tweezers, and just fit that between the disconnector and the sear. And again, make sure that's going in between the hammer and the flat spring. Okay, so now we got to push through the sear axle and just sort of look at it, and you'll notice that one side of it looks a teeny bit more rounded than the other, and that side basically just goes into left, the more rounded part that goes in first. So just push that in, and that'll go in right up against the sear actuator latch. And what I like to do to help line it up is to use something skinny, like these tweezers or maybe an Allen key, and just go through the hole on the other side and just sort of help line them all up as you push that through, because that'll make that go a lot easier than just trying to line them up. So with that through, now you need to put on this thing. And that fits in like this. And just move the hammer up, or I mean the thumb safety up to where this fits in, and you'll notice it's under spring pressure. And you just got to hold this down and push in on the other side of the sear axle. Push in while pushing down, and that'll be holding that down. And now just flip this back down. We got to put in the spring again, so just sort of push out that pin we put in there for temporarily. Pull that out, and we'll drop on the spring. And we'll put this thing back on. Okay, now the spring on this pistol is it's very strong, and this is really hard to do it. But like probably the best way that I found to do it is I like to hold it against me like this, and use something to push this in until the hole lines up to push the pin through. To me, that's the best way that I found.